It's a new week and it's a new era. Welcome to episode 14 of the Josh Lopez Wrestling Podcast here on iTunes, Stitcher, Audio Boom, wherever you get your good podcast from. This show is for the wrestling fans that like to have some fun in addition to comedy in between. I like to say at times, especially with my sports shows, a non-politically correct wrestling show, but at the same time, it's not a wrestling show where we're about to be on the verge of having a heart attack. So you get a little bit of something for everybody here on the Josh Lopez Wrestling Podcast. You can follow me on Twitter at WCJoshLopez. Introduce my brother from another mother out in the East Coast. What's going on, Mr. Adam Daley? What's going on, buddy?
What's up, Josh? What's going on, everyone? We have a couple very interesting days of wrestling to talk about, but we also have, before the end of this show, a little animated movie to talk about as well.
Yes, sir. We'll get to that. We're gonna make some changes to our format as we go throughout the week now. We're gonna save shooting the shit stuff towards the end of the show. So like all of our outside the ring news or pop culture stuff, we'll save that towards the end of the show. We got a lot to get to, man. If you have any questions or comments or soliloquies or diatribes, I could come up with a lot of other big smart words. In high school, we had a program in our English class for my senior year called Word Smart. So we would have to learn like a bunch of big ass words and remember it by the end of the week. You have to know the definition. You have to use it in a sentence. So I could come up with a lot of massive ass words, but either way, if you have anything you want to interact with us, put in the chat room. We'll read it on air. Brother Nero, how's your weekend? Before we get to like Battleground or anything, what's on your mind? Are you pumped for what's going on right now in general, or no?
Yeah. Actually, you know what? I think Raw. We made the joke. Typically, listen, I've been to a million shows, so it's like if I miss a show and I miss an event, it's not. I really don't care. And it's been a while since we've been to a show because the whole thing was this: the next show we go to, we're gonna make sure that we can take our daughter too.
Yeah.
And long story short, there's reasons why we didn't go to this Raw, and we decided to go see The Killing Joke in theaters, which is what we'll talk about, at the end of the show. But this is the first Raw in a long time that I really miss not being there for. I think SmackDown was all right. I think Raw definitely won the if we're doing like a weekly wars, I think Raw probably won the battle this week. But I don't know. I think there's a lot of things to be excited about right now.
Yeah, I got the same vibes too. It's kind of funny, over the past 3 years, people would think Raw is the cancer of all wrestling shows. But last night, people are coming out of the woodwork talking about, oh my God, Raw is so amazing. Oh, SmackDown is not going to be better than Raw. Oh, SmackDown's not going to be better than Raw. Aren't you the same people that said Raw is like the worst wrestling show of all time, like 3 years ago? Like, but hey, that's the new thing with this split. Now you could have that choice of whether you enjoy Raw or SmackDown. I just feel like people are putting too much stock into what happened from what Balor and Sasha. And I'm not taking anything away from them. They had an awesome night, and I'm happy for their success. But I thought there was other things on Raw that I really enjoyed, not just what happened from Balor and Sasha.
I think the one thing that I loved, and I know it's one of those where I'm not really into the Golden Truth as much, but them playing Pokemon Go all on the console is hysterical to me. And you know what? That's something I don't know. And I'm sure they still could have done that on the old Raw, but maybe they wouldn't have. Maybe it's an idea that probably would have got thrown away. I don't know if you noticed this, Josh, but matches were definitely longer and told better stories than we've seen on any Raw probably in the past. And obviously, with you, listen, we've had our exception matches, guys. I'm not going to say like every match, but I mean, with a consistent basis, we didn't have these 2 or 3 minute quick matches that we've had. Have you noticed that?
Yeah, and I felt like I want to say like Raw stuff like for later on, but my last point on this, I enjoyed the flow with it, and for those that know me, know that Jim Ross was the reason I got hooked into wrestling. So it's always been the commentary that's always got me engaged in whether I enjoyed a match or a show or not. And I just really feel like the main thing I took away from enjoying Raw this past week was how it was with Michael Cole and Corey Graves on commentary this past Monday night. It really takes one switch on the announcer's table to make a difference on a wrestling show.
And you know what? And the other side of the coin with that, I think Morrow and JBL play off each other amazingly. I think like right there, I do think there's a lot of chemistry. I know people don't like JBL. I know I'm in the minority when it comes to JBL fans. But I think there's something special going on with him and Morrow. And I don't mind Otunga, although listen, David Otunga would be a lot better if his bow tie was back. And I want to start a hashtag.
Coffee mug.
Can we please start a Twitter hashtag, bring back the bow tie towards David Otunga? Because I feel like I need the coffee mug or the little thermos that he would always carry around.
Yeah.
I need the bow tie. I need Dave. That's the David Otunga I need on
we don't need the Hollywood Jennifer Hudson red carpet.
Yeah, right. Yeah. No, but dude, totally agree. So happy for Graves. And it's great hearing that younger, youthful voice. You know, him and Cole have great, you know, like you said, have great chemistry. Byron Sexton, as it said on Battleground, he's, you know what, he actually sounded a little bit better. I don't know why. Maybe I was just being a little nicer and was in a good mood. I don't know. But I agree, man.
Let's get into Battleground. Our boys Breezango beat the Usos in the pre-show match. I got to cover this match. This is a really good match, and I really feel like with how Booker T was asking the Usos about how some of the rub they get from Roman Reigns is starting to affect their minds and stuff, I kind of feel like there's something lingering where the Usos might make that switch into a bad guy soon.
Hey, what was up with the one Uso sniffing on Becky Lynch's hair? First off, let's talk about this first. If you wanted to bring up Usos, I got to talk because that was the creepiest picture I think I've seen over the wrestling weekend. And I know it doesn't matter, but was he trying to be funny or creepy or?
I don't know.
It's not the one that's married to Naomi, and I don't know which one.
It's not Heidenreich creepy, okay?
It was not Heidenreich creepy by any stretch of the imagination. You know, I don't know. I think maybe that's just the gimmick that they're going into. I don't know. If I was the Usos, I'd probably be frustrated at this point by still having the same gimmick and being forced to be on Total Divas, and you know, or I guess they're not on there anymore. But I don't know. I didn't really look too much into the Usos. I didn't even notice the Usos picking up Dean Ambrose the other day, which that's rough. They traded in Roman for Cena. Now you know, it's like Roman just keeps going down the family tree, man.
Yeah. Well, we'll get into Roman later on. I have some ideas for what's next for him, man. It has nothing to do with heel stuff. This is totally different. Anyways, I have our boys Breezango, and I'm kind of happy for them because I really feel that Breezango are going to be one of the steals of the draft this year.
Yes, that seems to be the consensus with a lot of people, and I agree, man. Because, well, number one, it's a huge steal because whenever you decide to split them, you're gonna have two good superstars. You know, once they're by themselves, but they're so good together, and they're like a match made in heaven. They are Hansel and Zoolander. I'm so glad they decided to run with that. You know, Sam and I talked about that for the longest time. You know that on the old podcasting days, that was like our thing was like, please just turn him into Zoolander, and then we got one better. We got Zoolander and Hansel. So it's like,
who's Mugatu? I need to know who's Mugatu.
By the end of the show, we'll figure out who Mugatu is. I'll sit here. I'll think about that.
Eric Rowan? No, I'm kidding. Battleground. Just overall, what was your thoughts? I'm not gonna go through every match, but overall, what was your thoughts on Battleground this past Sunday?
I liked Battleground. You know, I kind of gave my thoughts about Ambrose winning the title again, and I like what they're doing with Ambrose and Ziggler on SmackDown. We'll talk about that in a little bit, but I thought it was good. I did. I thought it was one of the better ones that they've had. I don't know, man. I really listen. Sami Zayn. A lot of people I know were kind of knocking the Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens fight. I know we've seen him. You know, I know we've seen him wrestle a lot, but I'm okay with that, and I still think that was match of the night. I'm not tired of these guys. I'm glad the feud's over, and I'm glad, and I hope they do go their separate ways. And I'm still adamant that I think that they should be on separate shows. But I don't know. I still think that was the match of the night, hands down.
Overall, I enjoyed the event as well, and I was grateful for Mr. Corgan, aka Derek, to invite me on Wrestling Warm Up this past week, and Wrestling Warm Up, and I said it on the show, like I enjoyed it for what it was. I thought it was a show for everybody else. I thought it helped Raw in a way, and it helped SmackDown in a way. It served both purposes. Again, we talked about it. People are not willing to let things play out, and we always have to have ultimatums, or it's always doom and gloom shit. Like, for example, okay, Bayley showed up. They got what they wanted. And here's the topic I want to save for later. The topic of, is the company still not giving the fans what they want? Because there's a thing I have to tie into this when we get to it later on, okay?
Right. Yeah, there's actually something I want to bring up about Bayley too as well. And listen, I love Bayley, and I'm so happy for Bayley, and every Bayley moment is like an emotional moment. You know what I mean? I know that's okay, whatever, everyone out there, whatever. No, you admit it. If you're denying it, you're just denying yourself. Admit it. Every good Bayley moment is like that heartfelt moment that we all look for in a great babyface. I just wish that, sometimes like we demand it so much. Wouldn't this been better if we waited until she was coming up full time?
Correct.
But that's just something we'll talk about later, man.
Going back to your Owens point and Zayn, anytime you can get an entire crowd off their feet and applaud at both men knock each other down. I don't care if Vince Russo says it's a tumbling contest or somebody else doesn't like the fact that they kick out of multiple finishers. Wrestling's got involved, okay? We say it every time. Okay, you're not going to have hammer locks and rear chin locks stitched in for 5 minutes in a wrestling match. If you think that's the only way to have psychology, I don't know. But people say these are tumbling contests. But every time I've ever covered or watched an Owens Zayn match, there's always been a story to it, and it's always been different from any other the different matches they've had. I know these guys have fought each other a lot, but it was always different every time they fought each other, and they found ways to get people off their seat. And I'm happy that Sami won, and it was an awesome match. Is it a problem to enjoy a good wrestling match that actually gets people's genuine emotion up?
It seems like that in today's, yeah, because if it doesn't fit somebody, whatever somebody wants, then they'll just complain because it must be absolutely wrong. So, no, but that's, it's one of those, man, where for me, like, what people don't understand is there's Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens still have about 377 stories that they could tell in ring. Exactly. We've yet to even scratch the surface on. We forget that they've wrestled each other so much in the indies and so much. And I don't want to just pigeonhole it just to Ring of Honor. It's been all over the world in so many different organizations that they've had to tell multiple different stories. So guys, we're still just scratching the surface. And it's not that, and I keep saying I want to see them separated, on separate shows, just because I want them both to become, bigger superstars, so that when they reinvent this feud and when they revisit this feud, it is going to feel a lot larger to the casual fan. But that doesn't mean I'm tired of seeing these guys wrestle at all. I mean, I could watch these guys go every month, to be honest with you. It's like a clinic.
Yes, it is. It's kind of interesting throughout like the pay-per-view cycle. You have like a Mania, a Rumble, SummerSlam, but in between these pay-per-views, you'll have like your gimmick pay-per-views like Hell in a Cell or Money in the Bank. But what I like about the pay-per-view format of WWE, there's always one pay-per-view, whether it's Payback or Battleground or something else, where feuds do come to an end. There's pay-per-views that are centered around grudge matches or feuds coming to an end, or even splits because of the draft. And that's what I enjoyed a lot about Battleground. It was the spotlight to end feuds, and it also gave other people the opportunity to stand out, even coming after the WWE draft. For example, I loved the Becky Lynch Natalia match. I'm glad they gave them time. It wasn't just a 5 minute. Oh, here you go, and we have a cheap roll up or count out or something like that. I loved what they did there. Um, I like the New Day Wyatt match. I'm happy Bray got the victory there. Now I wish my boy Big E would take it easy on the suicide dives before he breaks his neck like Daniel Bryan. But even then that was cool. John Cena, Enzo, and Cass against the club. That was fine. That was a good 6-man match. You needed Cena to win there to give another match for SummerSlam. And we'll get to SummerSlam later because that card's gonna be freaking insane. And there's even more matches are gonna be announced.
Yeah, well, you know what? When I was watching SmackDown last night, and I watched it late, guys, so I don't think I got done with SmackDown until or no, you know what? I wasn't too late. Raw, I didn't get done with until like 4 a.m. or something because we went to go see.
Yeah, it was a long night.
Yeah. Oh my god, it was a long night. You know, and then so last night, but I was still late with that. But I was sitting there, you know, starting to add the card up and was like, holy hell, they right underneath us, like as everyone's kind of, and it was really because everything felt so chaotic. And I like the fact that it's calming down now. You know, Josh, one of the things we talked about was we were getting hit with the draft. We were getting hit with the brand split. We were getting hit with a pay-per-view. We were getting hit with SummerSlam. We were getting hit with Reigns' suspension. We were getting hit with Lesnar and UFC.
Yeah.
You know, there was so much going on at once that it was hard to even focus on the storylines they were telling us, you know, for the Battleground pay-per-view that had a 5-week build for a B-scale pay-per-view, you know. So now that the dust from all of that has settled and we have these clear-cut paths, it's like, holy shit, we have a really, really nice card ahead of us.
And the best part about it, it's a blank sheet. It's a totally different horizons and stuff. And I don't even think we even reached the surface. Like I said, there's even more feuds that I have ideas we can talk about later for that card. I want to say this before we move on from Battleground. The Shield 3-way was everything I expected it to be, and then some. Again, Roman Reigns is going to get the reaction he gets. I don't care. I enjoy his matches. I'm just numb to the reaction now. I'm not even going to scale my reactions towards a match depending on how the crowd feels about Roman anymore. It's getting so old. We're past a year and a half of him being booed out of every match he's in. I go ahead. What you're going to say?
Hold on. You have to admit, because listen, the troll in me wanted Roman Reigns to win this match so bad because I wanted to see wrestling Twitter go nuclear. I did. I'm not gonna lie. I wanted to sit back and watch the world burn, like Joker lighting half the money on fire and watching, you know, and the Russian not being happy or the Italian not being happy with it. But it was, you know, you have to admit, though, you kind of want to see, you're always interested to see how big the Roman Reigns boo pop's going to be. You have to admit, deep down, there's part of you that was like, damn, this is pretty impressive.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. But I've always said this on the show, though, too. Like, I don't mind the boost because, hey, any reaction is a good reaction, right? You still get that polarizing stuff out of every pay-per-view, depending if the guy won or lost or whatever. And maybe that's why some people are taking like the praise for Ambrose away, because we don't have that polarizing action, polarizing reaction after the show with like Roman winning. Like, I don't know if like people would be super buzzed if Rollins won. Is he like, oh, okay. It's like when Rollins beat Reigns at Money in the Bank, right? Like, okay, he won, but we're like, people are like, oh my god, things are changing. This and that. Like, I love Rollins. He's awesome. But again, we're going with the most visceral reaction of all three guys, and it's Roman again. So in a way, I do agree with you. I did say in the show that I thought Ambrose was going to win. I wasn't buying that, oh, they're just going to automatically hand the title back to him. You mentioned about paying dues with the suspension. Hey, man, this dude's been taking clean pins up the petunias this year. So he's really not John Cena 2.0. So
no, and you know what? And listen, I want to address a lot of people that still think that Roman Reigns has had it. You know, a lot of people say, well, John Cena had to put up with this too, and he was able to do it with, and again with the whole suspension thing.
Hmm.
Nobody seems to care that Randy Orton, can deliver a line saying no enhancement needed when he's one violation away from being fired. You know what I mean?
You're
So
fired.
so let's kind of like pedal back sometimes with that. But even with Reigns, man, it's like, again, yeah, we're looking for reasons that people were looking for reasons to hate on him, but at the same time, I don't know, man. I'm to the point where I'm over the excuses. I think I wish they would just pull the trigger and let him be a dick. I want him to turn on the fans so bad, and I know it's the easy way out, but at this point, I think that it's why not? Why not? At this point, you're gonna let Brock Lesnar. I understand it has nothing to do with WWE, and it really shouldn't affect WWE's business. But you can't hide the fact and try and really, you can't pretend that Brock didn't fail 2 drug tests for a UFC fight, that they were, you can't build him up to be this beast now because we don't know what's this beast without his medicine. You know what I mean? And it's like, so why Roman Reigns has paid more dues than Cena ever did at this point in his career, tenfold, because again, not only now has he had to deal with the suspension, he had to deal with the backlash from the suspension. I hate to keep bringing it up, but we have to take into consideration the death threats, the racial slurs, all the bigotry that's handed towards Roman Reigns that John Cena did not have to deal with. And I just think that when is enough enough? And I know here we go again with the Roman Reigns stuff, but I think that what he did by putting Balor over on Raw was totally awesome. Putting Ambrose over at the pay-per-view was totally awesome. To me, he's already paid his dues. You know what I mean? Like,
Hmm.
I think that it's like, all right, let's just move the hell on. You know what I mean? Let's all. And I love the fact that, let's face it, he's a lot cooler when his beard is a lot thicker. Where there's a thick beard, there's power. That's why I wish I wouldn't have trimmed mine down. I do my summertime trimming. My beard was getting nice and thick. Roman Reigns instantly looks a lot more laid back. Like, I want to smoke a J with him, just chill out and talk about like just theological like ideas and stuff. No, but it's just at that point, Josh, where I enjoy the Roman Reigns boo. I'm not gonna lie. I love that he gets that boo reaction. And it's the heel in me that likes that. You know what I mean? So, but at the same time, I think that we should all kind of, and I know we always preach this, but come on with the Reigns hate. It's he came back after a 30-day suspension, looked better than ever. So
I found it funny he had the darker beard with the new Justice League trailer. I don't know if you saw it yet. I really
I did.
feel like that's like one of the few reasons why they're like making him out like the big star, because Jason Momoa. Maybe that's something. I don't know if Jason's one of the big actors out there. I know who he is. I think he's a good actor, but I don't know if that's the vibe. Maybe Stephanie saw him in the movie. He's like, oh, we need to make Roman to look like this guy because it will get a massive female penetration or something.
There was somebody else. Oh, I think they were hoping for massive female penetration. I think that was the whole Roman Reigns stick till they found out that women liked Rollins better and girls like
And
Ambrose.
Balor,
So.
yep.
And Balor, yeah, women like Rollins and Balor. Girls like Ambrose. I'm gonna get so much hate for that. But it's just funny to say though. But anyway, back to the story at hand. No, with the Reigns thing, I'll admit they do try to overdo him to look like a wolf or like because for a while he had the blue contacts. Remember?
Oh God.
And it was like almost trying to do
like
like
Twilight shit.
yeah, it was like a True Blood kind of wolf thing, like a Joe Magli. I don't know Sofia Vergara's husband. I don't know how to pronounce his last name, and he's a Pittsburgh boy, so I should. But
Wrestling
Pittsburgh
fan.
represent. Big time wrestling fan. Yeah, Penguins fan too. I hope Matt McCool's listening so he can bask in the Penguins winning the Stanley Cup one more time, and he's going to hear about that later on. But you know what? Listen, my thing with the triple threat, I'm not, now that I see the big picture, I'm okay with Ambrose going over because it's obvious that Ambrose is the B title. And I know we don't like the name of the Universal Championship. I get that. I know some people don't. And I know people think it's terrible, and I'm gonna make a million jokes about it. And it is what it is. But that is the bigger title, and Ambrose is gonna have the number 2 title. So always, guys, perspective is reality, and just kind of take that into consideration. One thing I did want to talk about Battleground too before we leave it, unless you want to talk about the triple threat a little bit more. I just thought it was really I just think it shows how much of a team player Zack Ryder is, that on his way from the Republican National Convention to the Democratic National Convention, he stops at Washington, D.C. to wrestle a match. Didn't even change out of his outfit. Like, I like that he cosplays for these conventions, and he had to hit up D.C. and said, you know what, while I'm in D.C., I might as well show up to work. What was he wearing? I love Zack Ryder. What in the living hell was the monstrosity that was like, that's bad. That is bad.
I don't know. It looked like WCW Sting gear.
Oh, yeah. Well, exactly. Bad.
Like Charles Barkley, terrible.
Oh my God. Like woo. I've already enough time defending woo woo woo. You know it. Like, and then when I have to defend woo woo woo, you know it, and you come out looking like the Texas flag, like like you came out of a, you know what I mean?
Oh man,
you came out of a Tea Party convention and you're on your way to a Bernie Sanders convention. I don't know what it was hard.
Ryder, you already came up with the vibe that you are like the honorary cast member of Jersey Shore, and then then you have a mixture of WCW, Sting, and the Lex Express into one outfit. Like, come on.
I love Zack Ryder, and I think everyone has caught on that if I joke about you, it's typically I roast the ones I love. So please, everyone, save your arrows for God's sake.
I found it funny that Lano's kind of wearing a wedding dress.
Sam brought up a good point. I got to keep giving her credit where credit is due. She was like, "Why is she dressed up like Miss Elizabeth?" And Zack Ryder's dressed up like Macho Man. She was like, "Is there?"
I literally thought she was wearing the same wedding dress Lita wore for her wedding with Edge on Raw.
Oh man, no. Well, we know it wasn't the one Lita wore when she was marrying Kane, because that was a little more revealing.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'm not
a bad thing.
Yeah.
Them thighs though, even still in her age. Anyways, let's move on. I want to bring something you brought up back a while in this show. Like, I agree with you. I never wanted the titles to be splitted, because in this situation, the company doesn't live or die by just the one championship match anymore, or just the one title anymore. So let's say like somebody we didn't want to win the Royal Rumble, he could go for that other title, but we still have another championship match that we could be interested in. Like, I don't know your thoughts on that, but I do like the fact that we do have two New World titles. I'm not going to get into a rant about the Universal thing. It's whatever. Like, it's like any other title. We'll get used to calling it that or whatever. I know they'll get more positive stock out of Universal than TNA has out of Universal Studios in the last 15 years. But I don't know. Do you like the fact that we are going back to two titles? Because I don't know. Maybe for me, like, okay, you're saying that Dean Ambrose is having to beat championship, but
that's okay though. No, for me that's okay. No. And listen, like if I rubbed anyone the wrong way with that, first of all, just relax. And second, but listen. Whenever we had two champions, Jericho, and everyone knows I'm a Jericho mark, he always had the World Heavyweight Championship. But realistically, it was the Intercontinental. It was the modern day Intercontinental Championship, because you knew, and guys, we always knew it was the B Championship. Lesnar, okay, and Pat wanted to correct me, but I was at WrestleMania 19. Angle Lesnar for the WWE Undisputed Championship, and we had the World Heavyweight Championship. I don't know if they still called it the WC Championship or not. I don't know.
It was World Heavyweight Championship.
Okay, and that was Triple H versus Booker T. We all still looked at Triple H as being the bigger champion. We were surprised at Triple H, and even though we knew Angle and Lesnar should absolutely have ended that show, I think there was part of us that all thought, what if Triple H would end that show? Because we all give him that bullshit stigma that we always give him, that he always has to be the man. Guys, he's the man when he needs to be, when the story
Brother
calls.
Nero?
Yes, sir.
I'm glad you brought his name up, because today is Triple H's birthday. Happy birthday to the game.
I'm a walking, living, breathing segue, my friend. That's what I do. And I am a secret Triple H mark. So, but we always look at the Raw champion as the A champion. And and that's no disrespect, but this is good to do this, because no disrespect again, because I love Dean Ambrose, but I think he's a poor man's CM Punk. I think that that's still okay because you need that anti-establishment figure. And if it wasn't for them having 2 championships, he wouldn't be holding a championship right now. And that's just the inconvenient truth that you might not like it, but that's the facts, guys. And I actually, and to dig myself into a deeper hole, I just want to keep burying myself here. I actually kind of dig that it's called the Universal Championship. One, because it's the biggest troll job ever because they're on NBC Universal, and it is.
Yes.
It's the biggest troll job ever.
Yes.
And number 2, it's cheesy enough that this wrestling league that I told you about that I spoke to me and my brother Mike used to have in Charlotte, that was basically done on SmackDown versus Raw 2008, where we created like 30 people. Well, you could create championships too, and we wanted a championship that was bigger than the Intercontinental Championship, and we actually called it the Universal Championship. And I think there was like Saturn or something like that was on, like you could put it on the belt, and then we made it spin. So for me, I just kind of chuckled because it is that cheesy. It's a terrible name that like we were using it. So but at the end of the day, we're gonna get used to it. The Divas Championship sounded terrible. We got so used to it that we're still slipping up and calling it the Divas Division. It's not a big thing for me.
I just wonder what the title's gonna look like. I hope it's not. Yes! I don't know if it's gonna have like Jupiter or Mars shape on the
Mars, bitches. MARS. Mars, bitches. No, you know what? I hope that they go with either a super, like something very, very modern and futuristic with the design, or I wouldn't mind something that looked like Austin's like Winged Eagle belt.
Hey, I think they could pull this off and be the ultimate troll job to TNA. Since they are on NBC Universal, they could put the Universal sign on the title.
Yeah, they could.
The actual logo.
Hey, NBA teams are going to start having sponsors on their uniforms. So, as wrestling fans, if they decided that, which they're not going to, guys, but this is for the sake of comedy. If they did, guess we really couldn't complain.
Exactly. One thing before we go to Raw, I wanted to say this. Matt Hardy, you should be running for president. Screw Donald Trump and screw Hillary Clinton. Like you said, Matt Hardy is winning 2016.
He's winning everything. Shot. He's winning everything in 2016.
Besides Rebby Hardy, I can't do it.
I don't know, because I think she's gorgeous. So I'm not, out of respect to Matt, I don't know. It's just Matt Hardy's winning everything. And listen, for everyone that said, well, Matt Hardy, it's like, but Matt's always been good. When Matt has been given creative freedom, he's always been really, really good. I think Matt's always been kind of given the bad. He's always been given the bad rep out of the two because Jeff is so beloved, which I love Jeff too, and that's cool. Yeah. But I think Matt has been the harder worker. I think Matt's always been the more creative of the two, and I think Matt's always had to work twice as hard just to get over because he isn't Jeff, and he's always been able to do it, and that's why I have always been a Matt Hardy mark.
Matt Hardy is awesome, man, and it was funny. They started this playoff series for Bound for Glory this past week on Impact, and Matt is in the tournament, and Matt's like, "Bring out my next victim, and I will delete."
People that don't even watch wrestling are saying delete, and they're saying like they have no idea what they're talking about, but they're like, "Hey, man. What the hell's Matt Hardy? What's all these gifts I see with Matt Hardy on a tractor?" It's like the funniest thing to try, and then you have to try to explain it, and to see the look on people's faces is like just it's worth a million words, man.
Anytime I see somebody on Facebook go on a massive pro-Trump rant on Facebook, I just want to put a meme of delete right in the comments section.
Yeah, just real quick, if anybody thinks that like either of these two idiots that are running for president or like any of the answers, or any person on earth, any single one person on earth is an answer for an entire country, relax. Like, just be proud that we can vote, but like don't like get on a soapbox and tell me that either of these two idiots that are running are worth a damn, because they're not. They're okay, not. Now I'll step down off my soapbox.
This is literally the biggest publicity stunt in the history of all time. And it really shows how effed up of a country we are.
It's a social experiment, man. It's a social experiment. This is reality television. It's a social experiment. It's showing how terrible we are. But let's move on before cause I'm going to start making a lot of Trump and Clinton people really upset if I start going off.
Bring the arrows. Bring the arrows.
We'll save that for saving this. Yeah, we'll save that for saving this shit.
Oh man. Going back to Ambrose, I got a message the other day while we're on warm up. This Twitter account said Guns and Ambrose. This is the stuff that turns me off from Ambrose. It was a girl, right? So you were talking about how most Ambrose like diehard fans are teenage high school girls, right? So yeah. I get this long series of tweets on Monday night. How dare you guys question Dean Ambrose? He's the greatest thing since Stone Cold Steve Austin. He's Brian Pillman. He's this and that. Yeah. That's the stuff that turns me off of Dean Ambrose, not his look or how his marketing ability. Is having people compare him to Austin and Pillman and shoving those comparisons down my throat.
First of all,
that's what turns me off about Ambrose.
And listen, and before anybody wants to get mad and be like, oh, of course Daley would say he's a poor man's CM Punk. Well, listen, Dean Ambrose a couple weeks ago said what? I didn't go somewhere to pretend to be an athlete was, I think, a line or that he said.
I didn't go chase a fantasy.
Fantasy, right. And then he said that, I'll stay here, be the best in the world, blah, blah, blah. So he's comparing himself to CM Punk. And I'm sorry, he can't lace CM Punk's boots. Jon Moxley can. This watered-down WWE babyface version of Dean Ambrose can.
Yep. I'm everybody wants Roman to be healed, but I feel like you'll get more return of investment when Ambrose turning into a bad guy.
Thank you, Josh. Thank you. Yes, sir. You are absolutely right, because here's the deal. Eventually Roman Reigns is going to get over as a face, guys. And I don't know. Let me get your opinion. And I said whenever the Shield formed or came together and they debuted, Sam and I were talking, and I said, okay, here's how I'm going to break it down. Rollins, basically think of him as your Edge. Ambrose, think of him as your Punk, and think of Reigns as your Batista. I'm pretty dead fucking on, aren't I? Yes, at this stage of the game. So, and that was in 2012. 4 years later, I was pretty accurate with those guesstimates.
I'll give you Roman with Batista because the blue contact. Blue contact. Okay.
Bloomin' Reigns.
Bloomin'.
And that's a shout out. That's a shout out to Boom and Reigns, who that's an actual Twitter handle. That's hysterical. Shout out to them. Or Boom and Lames, I think, is which. And I like Roman too. And it sucks. Listen, I do like Roman, and people forget that I really there's very few superstars that where I'm like, did they completely bore me? And I'm very open about that. Like, yeah. But that's because I want to be as honest as possible about it. But Roman Reigns is not a guy that it's like I want Roman Reigns to succeed. That's why I just wish WWE can figure out a way to get him to succeed. And Josh, it's just, I do think at this point the only way is to turn him heel. And if listen, if it has the reverse effect where people cheer him, good. That's what they wanted in the first place, right?
Yeah. I see what you're coming from. My point is, it's just like he's already the heel.
Right, yeah. He's so much fun like this, It's like, yeah. I love watching people, and I do feel bad for Roman Reigns.
Trust me, bro, like, I know you would want him to go back to, oh, Mr. I'm handed everything, and you want the whole world to like go after the company and burn down. If he went to the bad guy heel route, I know you want that trolling sense back.
Yeah. Listen, I'll admit there's part of me. That's why I said on, for Battleground, for me, Ambrose was worst case scenario, which by no means is like the worst case to have. It's funny because I was getting a lot of shit for calling Ambrose like a placeholder, which now that we're looking at it, he's not a placeholder. He's, again, the B champion, which I love what him and Ziggler are going to be doing. But it'll be funny if he just hands his title over to Ziggler. But anyway, no, I think that for me, listen, I'm a Rollins mark, so of course I wanted Rollins. My fan side wanted Rollins to win. My troll side, though, that absolutely wanted Roman Reigns to win because it was just going to be funny.
I'm one good thing about heading towards SummerSlam this year, we won't have to worry about Seth Rollins dealing with outside the ring issues with leaked pictures and swastika girlfriends and no outside the ring shenanigans with Rollins. So the coast is clear for him. Literally, the stuff with him and Jon Stewart saved them from being like totally going down the shuffle.
You know what? First of all, I think that, and I want to tread lightly because I'm such a huge Rollins mark.
Mm-hmm.
I think that whatever got leaked out really just helped his career. I don't know. All I'm saying is that
It
he
gave him a
worked.
new fan base, I guess. I don't know. I didn't look at the picture, so I'm not into that stuff.
No, Rollins,
Yeah.
I didn't listen. Like every other man and woman in the planet, I think we all looked at Zara's. Come on, let's not kid ourselves. We all
Yes.
did. But, my
Yeah.
wife did. And we all. Right? Am
She's
I
hot,
wrong?
man.
No,
She's
she's
like
hot.
10
Whatever.
times hotter than Remy
Yeah, are
Hart.
we gonna sit here and hate? Listen, I don't agree with I don't necessarily agree with Zara and the whole swastika stuff, but I mean, I'm still super fine. But anyway, no, but and listen, and Rollins worked a program with Jon Stewart. Come on, it was a 9 month
It was awesome.
program. It was yeah, so it was great. Actually, I'm kind of hurt that Jon Stewart. Well, no, Jon Stewart will be at SummerSlam. I have a feeling Jon Stewart will be at SummerSlam.
I just loved how Jon Stewart like came on the Colbert Show last week and it's like totally destroyed the whole political race. I
Yeah,
don't
he
know if
had
you saw that
been.
video. That was awesome.
Yeah, well, it's because Roger Ailes is a chauvinistic pig that's been fondling women for a long time, and that bastard's had that coming. But that's a rant for neither here nor there.
Yes. Let's get to Raw this past week. For those that don't know, next time Raw be WWE be in Pittsburgh is for Roadblock. It's not going to be on the road to WrestleMania. It's the Raw pay-per-view for December. So Roadblock will be in Pittsburgh on December 18th, I think, this year, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, so hopefully, unless for some reason I have the random one off to go to an Oakland Raider game in December, which if they are in the playoff hunt, I won't rule that out. But I should be at the pay per view. Like I said, the only reason why we didn't go to Raw is we wanted to go see The Killing Joke in theaters because it was supposed to be a one night only deal. But I didn't know they were adding a second night on. But I don't think the theater we went to they did. So I'm glad we went to The Killing Joke instead.
All right. Overall, we got the new changes. We got the new logo. A new kind of different setup. There was different setups for both shows. I like that. I want to get that out of the way first. I do like the intro songs they have for the shows. The production elements are totally different. There's different camera angles for both shows. I want to say that. And a lot of my main takeaways from both shows this past week was the commentary. I felt that each show had a different vibe to it. And let's go to the Raw side first. Adam, what was your thoughts on Monday? We'll get to Sasha and Balor, but just general things about the show changes. What stood out to you?
All right. Right off the bat, the intro song, totally dig the intro. I love the fact that I think we should have saw that they were repackaging that. It was going to be a whole deal. I like the little tweaks to the set. Obviously it's not that there are these drastic changes, but each show has its own identity as far as entrance ways go.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. I am not at this point overly thrilled with although it doesn't really matter, the announce table being away from the ring. I'm an old school guy. I like the announce table, ringside a little bit. Although I don't want to say old school with that either, because that's always kind of like come and gone. I would like it though for pay-per-views, as long as the announce tables I think are ringside for pay-per-views.
Yeah.
I think in a way that's all that matters. Love Graves. Love the fact that Graves is up. I do definitely think that both announced teams have different styles. You definitely have more of your play-by-play, protagonist, antagonist, that kind of stuff going on SmackDown. Raw is more, like you said, it does stick with more of the Raw motif, but I feel like it's a little bit more polished. It's a little more hip. And what they're looking for on Raw, Josh, like you always talk about, is getting people to buy into the network, getting people trying to bring in that casual fan. Hitting base with pop culture, that kind of stuff. Corey Graves is a much better fit in that role than JBL. And I love JBL, but I think that is that tweak that the announced team needed. And Raw overall, I thought was really, really good. I'm going to give Pittsburgh a big shout out, my hometown, for really showing up. It seemed like it took them until Sasha winning the championship to really, 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 kind of get back into the show. But I'm glad they finally woke up. They weren't sitting on their hands. And it was nice that the end of a Raw, the crowd was as amped up as they were, instead of like, we've talked about it, even like the greatest main events, still by the end of Raw, a lot of times the crowd was like kind of flat because we've been there for 3 hours, 3+ hours, and but this had the reverse feeling where it was a slow build, and it was like more quiet at the beginning of the show, and the crowd kind of, as the show went on, got hotter and hotter and hotter and hotter. I kind of really, really dug that. I don't know, man. What did you think about Raw overall?
I like the squash matches. The one jobber that got to cut a promo with the parrot chin got Braun Strowman more over than Ryback has his entire career.
Oh man, how about Braun's new music, Braun? And then he goes, it's like Braun Strowman all of a sudden, it looks like he came off Fury Road, like he left the Wyatt compound and just walked off Mad Max's truck.
Yes, I love that. Nia Jax, she also had a squash match too. What else stood out to me? I don't know what your thoughts on the Sunny Boy stuff. I thought it was kind of funny.
Sunny Boy, I'm so glad you brought Sunny Boy up, because, ladies and gentlemen, listen, I know that I have such a love-hate relationship with Pittsburgh, and I think you guys have figured it out by now. Anyone that knows me or doesn't know me, or that listens to this, whether you love me or hate me, you know that I'm kind of very hot cold with Pittsburgh. Ladies and gentlemen, Sunny Boy is why. No, I'm totally joking. I think the greatest thing with the Sunny Boy thing, if you go back and watch it, watch Woods the entire time, and watch Woods' expression, because he's almost like in disbelief. What really happened, dude? And obviously Sunny Boy was a plant, but what was Sunny Boy about? Can we get Sunny Boy on here, please? Please? Can we start that?
I hope so.
Listeners, viewers, however you ingest this show, please let's let Josh know that we should have Sunny Boy on this.
I heard that Sunny Boy was an independent wrestler.
I figured that. I figured as much. Yeah, because I think it looks like, I don't know if I'm tearing down any curtains, but I don't think he would care. But I think a lot of them came from IWC in Pittsburgh, I think, where LeBar's at. I would think so. At least I know that's where like Britt Baker came from. I think that's where they got, basically all their talent. Everyone who got squashed is Pittsburgh Indies, basically.
I'll try to get Sunny Boy on, but I know you've been getting back in contact with LeBar. Maybe you could get LeBar on this show sometime soon.
I know he's a very, very busy man. I don't know, you'd probably have to reach out to him and ask him about that. It's the WrestleZone connection, man. Come on. I know I guess I'm I don't know. I guess I'm supposed to be arch rivals because I'm on Wrestling Rumors. I don't know how that.
I don't know.
I don't know. I just show up for videos, man.
I just do my articles and just let my work speak for itself. I'm not worried about
funniest part is
wars.
Funniest part is I love that people go, well, he doesn't write. He's not in media. Well, really? People don't realize that there's other forms of media than wrestling, and people don't realize that people don't necessarily always write underneath their name. So kind of tread lightly, people out there.
Going back to Raw, man, I don't know about you, but the fact that they got the club out there to lay out the entire New Day, and then they throw the Budios and Sunny Boy. I'm happy they're actually going this route with the club and New Day for SummerSlam. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I am too. I like it. I thought you said that you liked it. That's why if you said you didn't know you like it, I didn't mean to say. Okay, I didn't mean to say like, yeah, I agree. I don't know. Yeah, but I like it. You know what? Here's the thing with this. With the club, they could always, and I know that we keep overlooking this and we keep downplaying this, but or looking too much into it maybe, but can't we get a free bird rule in with the club if in fact they ended up with another surprise member? And I know this is maybe just a fantasy booking reach or whatever, but I don't know. Maybe I can't see the New Day breaking up yet, even though I thought by SummerSlam they would be done. I'll admit. I gave them till SummerSlam, and then that was kind of a wrap for me. And it's not that I want them to be over. I want them to go I mean, this is being selfish. I wish the New Day would never break up, but I want them all to have their respective, singles careers too. I don't. I think this was they needed to set something up quick because again, we only have 3 weeks till SummerSlam now. You know what I mean? And I don't know if this is the right feud. Coming off of a loss, you would think the Wyatts would get, but now with Bray on another show, I guess that's why the Battleground match to me, I almost want to say, and I hate it because I love both the Wyatt family, or at least Bray, and I love the New Day, but I just didn't care about that match at Battleground because it was like, well, there's nothing for this going forward. There's nothing, other than Woods saying, well, I'm glad Bray's on SmackDown.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so I'm glad. Yes, I'm absolutely glad it went into. But in a way, it's like, okay, basically that was proof that Battleground kind of just came and went, and it was just instantly we hit the reset button Monday and Tuesday night.
Yeah. I wonder, like, yeah, you're bringing like Clash of the Champions back, and you have like all these, like, in an indirect way, all these WCW like philosophies coming back to the shows. Like, yeah, I think a way you could do a free bird rule, but at the same time, I feel like one of these in between pay-per-views, I really feel like War Games is coming back to. I don't know what pay-per-view is going to be, but I feel like somewhere down where we're going to see a War Games match.
It would be smart, and it would be a very fun match to have on a battle or on a bragging rights pay-per-view if they ever brought bragging rights back.
Yeah,
that would be fun.
Phenomenal.
You know what? And I wouldn't be.
I wouldn't War Games for Survivor Series.
I would almost put War Games at Survivor Series, to be honest.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that it would match up with the whole Survivor Series aspect of it too.
Mm-hmm. I love the line Stephanie had the other night. She's like, "You're not a good guy. You're not a bad guy. You're a loser."
Poor Roman, man. Like, poor Roman. That's what, and then they make him cut the promo afterwards after he loses to Balor, and it's like, and guys, don't think I'm being like overly sympathetic, but like, come on, let's call it like it is. It's everyone's starting to dump on this man now. For one bad day. Like how I did that.
Yes.
So, but I like that Stephanie brought it up. I'm glad that they brought it up and they kind of moved past it though. I think it's one of those though where at this point for what they're doing the Roman Reigns, I am one of those turnabout is fair play kind of guys. That's why when Ryback left the company, I did get Ryback's back, even though he has me blocked on Twitter, even though for some reason, like, I wasn't a fan of his character. I still love all the men and women that compete in the, in this business.
Mm-hmm.
I want to keep it 100 with this too. I feel they have to address Brock Lesnar's 2 failed drug tests. I just think it's, and I know one's dealing with, I know they kind of already did, but with Lesnar, I know they kind of already they glossed over it, but they've kind of been hammering it home with Roman Reigns. Like, all right, we get it. He served the suspension. He was gone. Yeah. Let's move past it, or else the fans won't ever move past it. But if we're doing this to Reigns again, this is making it seem like Brock Lesnar can and will do whatever he wants. Hell, this almost makes what Heyman was saying over in England when he was telling the Brock Lesnar story. And I know, Josh, you had to have seen that video. It almost makes that where it's like, damn, maybe he is telling the truth. Well, when he said that Brock Lesnar just went in and took the streak and it wasn't scripted that way, which, guys, I'm not saying that, guys. Just Paul Heyman could sell the devil fire and could sell Eskimos ice cubes. So let's just keep it 100. But I don't know, man. What do you think?
I think Heyman could bring up Orton's past in a way. Like, yeah. Hey, Mr. Orton, you don't have that great of a track record yourself. If you want to throw shade towards my client,
I just, just like how Matt, like me and Matt, and I'm sure we're going to talk about this on, when we tape the pipe bomb tonight, but, and I totally agree with him on this. Shout out to Matt McCool. But, his biggest gripe was, if Roman Reigns was, instantly given the title back or is even putting it back in the title picture, what kind of message does that send to the locker room? Which I totally, and I totally agree with that. But think about the message it's sent into the locker room right now. If like when Brock Lesnar, if he goes into SummerSlam, wins clean, whatever, and I get it, special attraction, he really shouldn't matter. But that is sending a terrible message to fans, to other talent, to to whatever, to where people that are on SmackDown are probably glad they're on SmackDown.
Yeah, and like I feel like for me, like the good part about this is that Brock Lesnar and Orton is not going to be the main event of SummerSlam. Nor do I feel that it should be. But at the same time, I feel like even with the stupid shit that Mr. Almighty scumbag himself, Brock Lesnar, got himself into, some way or another, Paul Heyman will find a way to get us interested in that match. And people thought Roman and Brock was going to be horrible at WrestleMania a couple years ago, and even Heyman got us into that match.
Yeah, and listen, it's nothing against. It's not, and I don't want to sit here and sound like a hypocrite either and say like, all people make mistakes. Yeah,
Yeah.
but for the brazen, like, people want to talk about all these other people having egos and this and that, and they want to shoot arrows. Jesus, hell, man! Like, Brock Lesnar is coming off as being the biggest blowhard hypocrite in the world, and it just seems like his ego is driving him more, and WWE is enabling it.
Yeah.
And so is anybody that's saying that, like, it's, and I'm not saying, listen, again, who cares? I don't care. What UFC's business is not WWE's business. I understand.
Correct. Mm-hmm.
But again, it's sending an absolute horrible message to the locker room. It makes you see why it is absolutely entertainment, not wrestling, and why certain guys say, I know I couldn't wrestle there now because it's a really different thing, which is fine, but I feel like Brock has to kind of take his lumps too. If one person's getting shamed, we got to shame them both. Shame. We're gonna say obsolete.
Obsolete. You mule.
Obsolete. That was so good.
Dude, like, you had no idea how annoyed I was with the sheep after UFC 200 after Brock's fight. Oh, they should make the company all around Brock. Brock should be in the title match right now. Hand them the title. Hand them the title. Do this, do that. For what? For what? So now UFC is now more important than WWE. Because CM Punk is in UFC and Brock Lesnar return, UFC is taking over WWE. No, I'm not gonna buy into that shit.
Well, not only that, again, like, I keep bringing it up. It's two different things. UFC style, if we're playing kayfabe, UFC's fighting style is different than a WWE's fighting style because it's mixed martial arts versus professional wrestling and blah blah blah. Let's okay, so there's the kayfabe layer that everybody would want to paint on, but it's just, for me, dude, it's just, I don't know, man. I just think that I'm kind of tired of the Brock Lesnar show anyway, just because there's never any real this end game other than Brock shows up, Brock wrestles, Brock leaves. It's kind of ran its course in my opinion. And I don't want to I enjoy, and that's what sucks is I really enjoy watching him as a competitor in both UFC and WWE, but dude, that's bad when you fail a drug test the day of. That's like going into a drug test high. What is wrong with you, man?
What's Brock's appeal anymore? The fans that can't get over the fact that we're not in the attitude anymore? Because I know that Brock is not for kids anymore. Like, hell, I remember the video before WrestleMania where you recorded your prediction show with Amber. She's like, okay, Brock shows up, he wins every time we watch him. Remember, she was like, nobody wins in the Brock Lesnar Dean Ambrose match. She wasn't even interested into it.
Yeah,
so I know Brock Lesnar is not for the kids.
Yeah, my daughter, the little 6-year-old Mark, who hates Dean Ambrose and hates Brock Lesnar. So that's proof that it's not little kids, not all little kids like Dean Ambrose either. But but that's the thing. And listen, again, what happened at WrestleMania by no means I don't think was Dean Ambrose's fault either. No. I think we all know why what happened at WrestleMania now happened, but yeah, man, I'm just at a point where this, to me, and I love Randy Orton and I love Brock Lesnar, but and I know that it's never happened, so this is just to get it in for the history books to say that it's happened on a big stage, but I don't know. That's how I'm at.
Unfortunately, I would take this over another Sheamus match. With Orton.
Yeah, I guess.
Like, who was he gonna fight? Del Rio?
I'm not. Well,
you know what? I'd say that, but at the same time, I kind of wish that they could have went with Orton and Bray since they're on the same show.
Yeah, I agree. I could see that, and you know what? There's a large part of me right now that agrees with that. Yeah, um,
That would have
I,
been awesome.
I think, and it would have picked up where they left off too. You know,
Mm-hmm.
so at least there would have been some continuity there. Um, I don't know. It's just I just think that like if it goes in and Lesnar beats Orton and you know I mean not that a win does anything for Orton either. This is like that's what I mean. I don't want to say this is win-win or lose-lose or whatever, but it's very safe for WWE. So I understand that.
Yeah.
I just it's not one that's gonna. I don't think it's gonna put butts in seats, as they say. You know what I mean? Or keep butts in seats. You know, I mean, if I was at SummerSlam, if I was going, this would be where I'd go get like 4 more beers and go to the bathroom. And I mean, I don't drink at wrestling events ever.
Never, never,
Um,
ever.
but I don't know, man. I just another thing. Last thing about this is that I don't like super duper bubble gum. I am overly happy. Randy Orton on Molly. Like I don't like that. Like I don't like Orton that like maybe might be just like they get like he's just on a new drug that a doctor gave him. You know what I mean? Like he's too overly happy where he's up like clicking his ankles together and stuff like he was a couple years ago. I don't like super cheesy Orton. We all like our Randy Orton, I think.
I wonder if it's because he's got another kid on his way and he's been off of TV for 9 months, so he's been surrounded with kids and all that, and like the good side of Orton is just popping in.
Listen, if dude's happy, I'm happy for him. Listen, that's because
no, that's not a bad thing.
Yeah, because listen, I think
Yeah.
I love Randy Orton, and that's listen, I know I knock Orton a lot, but I love Randy Orton because he's overcome a lot, but everything. It's people can shoot arrows, but it takes a hell of a lot to overcome obstacles and still be in a public eye, you know, as much as he has. But character wise, it's just like, and shout out to Eric from Tag Me a Date, but because he made a meme that was like, it was the whole Justin Timberlake thing where it was like, bring it on down to Viperville, like that whole thing. Like if that's going to be his new thing, it's like takes away from like the bite of the Viper, I guess, if I can use a play on words.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's go back to Raw really quick. Sasha, no, before we get to Sasha, do you like how they went with instead of like a regular tournament, they had the 2 4-way matches, then you had that last match in the main event?
Loved it.
I thought it was kind of different.
Loved it. I mean, I was really impressed with Raw this week. I thought Raw was damn near flawless this week.
The first one was awesome too. Cesaro, seriously, Cesaro, Rusev, and Owens, even taking Balor out of the way, always kill in the ring. We just brought up Orton. They had a sick ass 4-way match on Raw last year. Those guys are awesome.
Both of the fatal 4-ways were good, and like you said, it was a different way of doing it. It was a different way of doing a tournament format, and I don't know. It was just there was part of me that just thought like, wow, they are going to give this to Balor. Like, you know, like you kind of everyone assumed, but as soon as Reigns kind of like got in the corner, you hear Graves go, "Oh, this is it." Balor that's that old planting of seeds of like, oh shit, there's the announcer basically say like it's like when they put the field goal stat up for like this field goal kicker hasn't missed in 3,460 extra points, and then he misses his like next 17 and gets fired. But no, it was I thought it was a really good way to set up this new era because it kept people on their toes. It's refreshing. Again, it's new. It you know, and I think that's why a lot of people get frustrated with booking because it's like, well, I don't get it. It doesn't make sense. And you know what? And to some aspects, you're right. It doesn't make sense. But that's finally what we've all wanted. We wanted new. We wanted to be caught off guard. Like whoever would have thought that we'd be saying that it would be Seth Rollins versus Finn Balor at SummerSlam for the WWE Universal Championship. Think about the sentence that I just said, and people would think that I was Sonny Boy from Raw on Monday night. You know, they wouldn't think that I was an actual human being. Shout out to Sonny Boy, you did well. But no, it's I like what they did, Josh. I don't know, what do you think?
I thought it was awesome. I think it's cool, and I think this is it's not false advertising. I think this whole brand split and new era stuff is actually giving these guys an opportunity to show that they are draws, that you don't need to go to the well and get an Undertaker and a Rock in order to sell out SummerSlam or WrestleMania or whatever. You got Balor, you got Rollins, you got Roman, whether you like it or not, he's one of those new guys. You got Owens, you got Ambrose, you got Styles. You're giving those guys the opportunity to show that they are draws, and that's the best part about it.
Yeah, and you know what? My initial concern with, and I think this was everybody's initial concern was, are they going to be able to sustain 2 shows? Just because it is a lot of time, are they going to be able to keep people interested? And I think they're going. I do think they're going to. Not, and we have to have a realistic expectation that not every week is going to be like this either, guys.
Correct.
We, don't would it be. It would be amazing if they could keep up this momentum week after week after week. But listen, not every week are we going to have Sasha Banks' first championship win. Not every week are we going to have Finn Balor winning a tournament. So there was a lot of big plot points that really got people on their feet. Really good matches. And, there's a lot of storytelling fillers that we're going to have. But I don't know, Josh. I think they're going to be able to tell better stories, more in-depth stories. And like you said, the important part with the announcing, where it's the announcer's job to sometimes tell the story of not only, because WWE wants it done this way, not only the match that's happening, but also make sure that what's happening in other storylines. This gives them more time to do that, because now that 3-minute or 5-minute match is being extended into 10 minutes so that you could focus on not only the talent in the ring, but the storyline that you also want to talk about on the side.
Yeah, and if I was commentating, like, I would talk about the journey of certain guys. Now they're different feuds. You talk about, okay, how's Ziggler gonna regain momentum when he's lost a feud to Baron Corbin? He didn't win the IC title at WrestleMania. He's been on a slump. How can you tell that? You could talk about that journey now as he's going after Dean Ambrose. That's something I feel that should be talked about in commentary.
Absolutely. And I mean, I think there's so much that they could talk about now of, within this new era, it is all about fresh starts. And I love that they're not hiding that, okay, this is, even though aesthetically, guys, this is, remember, guys, this is all for aesthetics, and this is where we're keeping like kind of kayfabe alive, but they're basically saying this is what we know what we were. And we want all of our fans, the WWE universe, to know that this is the direction where we want to go. And now, whether they get there or not, remember, that's a sleight of hand that a booker has. But they're giving us that illusion that we're heading in a certain direction, and it feels that way. And a lot of times, like, that's what it is. People don't want facts. People want feelings. Like, I just saw this. I'm not going to talk about it, but people, for some reason, they don't believe facts anymore. They just believe how people feel. So if that's the case, this does feel different. And I agree. There's so many stories that they could tell, like Ziggler, like, in the old format, he was lost in the shuffle because the powers that be. And now Shane McMahon sees his value, and Daniel Bryan, competed against him. So he knows. And this, I mean, there's so much that they can bring out of Dolph Ziggler to say, okay, this is why he deserves this shot, versus what it would have been if there was just a second title and there was no brand split and things of that nature. So I think, to your point, Josh, there's a lot that they can do to really, we're going to know more about these characters than we have in a very long time, and that's a good thing.
And at the same time, like, Michael Cole can stray away from the CNN commentary style with JBL. Like, you don't have to feel like you're listening to a political radio station.
Right, like you could still keep the banter, but at the same time, you can tell that it's almost generational differences, which is really, I think, what they're aiming for, and I like that they're doing it that way.
And I said a lot in the show over the time we've done this, and the times when you were on my old radio show, Adam. We talked about SmackDown with Morrow and how much he's enhanced guys that we would think that don't mean anything. He elevates their stock just with the commentary that he does on his own. Like I really feel that's what's going to help SmackDown in the long run, with the fact that they're going to have opportunity to have more well thought out storylines. Yeah, they don't have the depth that Raw has, but they could have more return of investment, because those guys that you didn't have interest in, they're going to go to the next level.
Right. And did you notice that Morrow didn't shy away from AJ being a former NWA champion either?
Yes.
Think about that, guys. We want to talk, and again, I know it's just one little thing, but these are things that in the quote unquote old era would have never ever been spoken of. It would have been on that list of, that would have been a niche for any Bruno fans out there. That would, that's some from the Ali G show, and nobody's
Yes.
gonna, maybe two people got that reference, but you know what, it's again, you know what, the more doors they open, the more real it feels, the more it actually feels like sports entertainment, and that's the angle that they're going for. I like it, man. It does feel fresh. And again, I think it's, even though every show isn't going to be the shows, which I think both shows were really 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 good this week, we know that they're not going to be like this every week, but as long as they still feel like it's new and not what it was before, I think we'll be all right.
I wanted to read a quote from one of my favorite comedians. Bernie Mac was the man. He's a Chicago guy. He was the man. He was one of my favorite things to watch as a kid growing up. So I miss Bernie Mac a lot. He was the freaking man.
So much. The world needs Bernie Mac right now.
The quote says, "Whatever success I've had, I always like to top it. I'm an ordinary guy with an extraordinary job." Now, I'm going to flip the role here, and I want to tie this into Sasha Banks winning the Women's Championship this past Monday on Raw against Charlotte. She said it. If you can't be good, don't let people ignore you, in a way, something like that.
Be so good, people can't ignore you. It's a famous quote. I think Steve Martin said it one time. Be so good they can't ignore you.
Mm-hmm. So it kind of works in both ways right there. So I feel like this is a really cool moment for Sasha. I know people wanted to hold off for SummerSlam or whatever, but hey, man, strike with the iron. It's hot. Why not? I thought it was an awesome match, and Charlotte deserves a lot of deserves a lot of praise for this match as well. The when she was like, "You're never gonna beat me," I thought that was awesome. So, congrats to Sasha winning the women's championship, and shout out to our boy, the Mule, Mitchell McCool.
And you know what? One thing that I'm going to talk with Matt about tonight is the fact that he forever is going to have to live with Sasha Banks' first championship being in Pittsburgh, and that warms my heart more than he even knows. He even knows that in the same year that the Penguins won the Stanley Cup, that Sasha Banks won her first championship in Pittsburgh, roughly a month, 6 weeks later. So it's we're the city of champions, ladies and gentlemen. But listen, man, this is the moment. This is why I am upset that we did not go to Raw. This is one of those once in a lifetime moments that we always talk about. I've seen so many of them that it's like, I wish we would have been in attendance. That crowd was insane. And it was it was one of those moments that we've all waited for. In my opinion, I think that pulling it off on the first Raw of the quote unquote new era after the brand split was a bigger deal than winning it at SummerSlam, only because people were expecting her to win it at SummerSlam. People never saw this coming until about halfway through the match when it hit us. Sam already knew because she can't, and not to keep bringing my wife up, guys, but I just want to give you a night in the life of Adam Daley. We go to the Killing Joke. I stay off social media completely because I don't like spoilers. And we're going through Raw. We're about halfway through this match. And I look over at my wife and I go, and just, guys, get the sensors ready. I go, holy fuck, Sasha's going over tonight. And Sam just kind of like wouldn't look at me, but was like, oh, I don't know, I didn't see. And like when she starts to like, she's the worst. She can't lie. Like, my wife is the worst liar in the world. She can't lie to me, and she's so obvious. And right there, I knew when, oh my God, they actually are giving her the title. So it was like, but I still didn't want to believe it, or did believe it, or didn't know. Maybe she was trying to play me, but so it kind of in a way added to it, but. I don't know, man. I think maybe, until halfway through the match, maybe a lot of people didn't see it coming. Then it was like, wait, they're gonna do this tonight. And that, to me, we always talked about she didn't have a WrestleMania moment, even though I think that's complete crap. She came out with Snoop, she came out with her cousin, she came out with her family. She had one of the biggest entrances of WrestleMania history. She had one of the greatest entrances of all time. I'm gonna let you finish. But I think that there was more. This was bigger for Sasha because it was a surprise. That crowd response was instantaneous. It wasn't your SummerSlam where it's going to be like, this is Pittsburgh, who was kind of dead all night until that moment, and then they were raucous the rest of the night. I mean, kudos to not only Sasha, Charlotte, everyone for putting it together, and Pittsburgh for really giving, really standing up for women's wrestling. So thank you, Pittsburgh, for making our city look good.
The Eddie Guerrero spot was the moment I knew that she was gonna win. So I thought that was pretty cool. We're gonna wrap up our raw thoughts here really quick with Balor and Roman. I thought that was a good match. I'm happy that Balor won. I'm gonna let you get your thoughts on this, Adam, and then I want to ask you this question as well. Your thoughts on the fact they're actually going with Balor and Rollins for SummerSlam.
Yeah, okay. So this isn't going to be a very PG answer anyway either, but I don't think that's why people listen to our show anyway. So
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm watching this match with pants on. My pants just might have to come off for this match. No, listen, kidding aside, this is for me. Everybody has their people. Everyone has their favorites. Everyone knows I was a Mr. Perfect fan. Then Jericho, then Punk. I mean, we're going like as they, because we're Balor and Rollins are my guys. And the fact that they're doing it this early, I didn't think Balor would be. And I'll admit, part of me is kind of against Balor being in the main title picture this soon. But when there's two titles, it doesn't matter. And this is me being an absolute hypocrite, because this is the flip side of why I criticize Ambrose fans saying it, like, because he's not thinking he's not the top guy in the company. Listen, neither is Balor. But if they pull the trigger and give Balor the title at SummerSlam, which in a way I think they might, strangely enough. Is it going to be too soon? I don't know, but it's going to have a lot of people talking, and they might do so. But for me, long story short, this is like, I don't want to say a dream match, because we're going to have a lot of matches out of these two guys, but this is, for me, going to hands down be the match of the night, even if it stinks up the place. So
what's next for Roman Reigns? I know that's an easy question, but what's next for Roman Reigns?
Man, you know what, man? I know I'm being maybe I'm coming off as being like too overly sympathetic to the guy, but I really wish that I hope he's in a relevant program at SummerSlam. I mean, I can't. Maybe Kevin Owens. Maybe him and Kevin Owens go against each other. I mean, I don't. I'm kind of at a pass here, just because I don't know. I don't know where they go, because this has been so unpredictable, and not knowing how they're, if he's done with his quote unquote dues, or what their plans are, or, did they give up on him? Did they not give up on him? I mean, so much speculation of all this stuff that's going on. I think this would be a good time to get him and Kevin Owens in, even though just because then if you want Owens to go over, you can have Owens go over, and we'll all understand that it was during Roman Reigns' dark period. You know what I mean? Or whatever the case may be.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe that would be interesting. I don't know. Where do you see Owens going from here, man?
I brought up an idea on warm up that could or could not happen. In a way, I'm going to tie in our SummerSlam thoughts into here, because since we're talking about what's next for Roman, maybe for me, I want to see Roman versus Cesaro. I think that'd be something that'd be interesting. You could have Cesaro turn into a bad guy and say, it's guys like this that holds me back. Something like that. I feel you could do something with that. I don't mind. I wouldn't mind Roman versus Owens. I would love to see that. I think it'd be an awesome match. But I just think from a storyline aspect, I would want to see Roman versus Cesaro.
I like that. I really, really like that idea. I want to see Cesaro, because I'll admit, guys, I love Cesaro. It's just I want to be invested in one of his storylines. Like, I love Cesaro so much, but it's and maybe that's part of his frustration, is that he does have so many fans and he's getting stuck in like these limbo state storylines sometimes, and that could help him get, over the hump, the proverbial hump, so to speak. But I don't know. Do you think that they're going to have to be cautious on how they book Roman at SummerSlam, or do you think that we're just overanalyzing this way too much?
No, I don't feel that way because he's not in the main event and he's not fighting for the title. So either way, the pay-per-view is not going to be dictated by what he does on that show.
Right. Good. And I think until the dust settles, I think this is the smart thing, because listen, I was all about him being right back in the picture because he paid his dues, and like the comparisons I keep making, guys, as soon as you're I promise you, here in Pittsburgh, as soon as Le'Veon Bell's done with his suspension, which, by the way, I think the NFL is a bunch of hypocrites, because you want to basically make sure you want to create an opioid epidemic amongst your players, but you're going to like fine people for seasons for smoking weed. You guys are the biggest hypocrites of them all. But I promise you, in Pittsburgh, as soon as Le'Veon Bell is cleared from suspension, the Pittsburgh Steelers faithful around here are going to be begging. Well, D'Angelo Williams is a hell of a back too, but you get my point. Their starter's back. They're going to want him back in. There's no further punishment. I don't know why we have to continuously publicly shame Roman Reigns when we don't really know still. Even I don't care how many reports are out there, what he did. And at the end of the day, it's none of our business.
It's not.
And so I think he's already paid his dues, and I would have been okay with him being back in there. But I understand why they're doing this, to let the dust settle, because it's us, the fans, that won't let the dust settle. Everyone else is over it but us. I hope everybody realizes that.
Correct. It's funny. WrestleZone cracked Pardon the pun, cracked a crack.com's top 5 most outrageous entertainment comment section. So they're basically poking fun at comic sections of like outrageous, crazy entertainment fans, and just pointing out how like nuts wrestling fans are in a nutshell.
Yeah, we're insane. We are literally insane. Like, I know I knock like politics a lot because I do follow politics for the hypocrisy and because it really is pro wrestling at the end of the day. It's just it's all a work. But
yes.
But listen, like, I make fun of people to go to these conventions a lot because you got to be a certain kind of special. And I'm not saying, listen, you're not more patriotic than anybody just because you go to one of these idiotic like chant fests. But wrestling fans, we're sick, we're twisted.
Yeah,
we are like passionate, man. But it's a good and a bad passion. Wouldn't you agree? It's one of those things where it's like Peter Parker, with great power comes great responsibility, right? And it's like, we get this great power and some of us just treat it like we're lunatics, man.
The main example they use was how like if somebody said they're a fan of this person, they get bashed for being a fan of this and not this. Like, they're kind of like, you're bashing somebody for being a fan of certain this, but you're supposed to be a fan of somebody in the first place. It's kind of like a weird dichotomy there.
Yeah, it's funny. I always like too when people are like, hey, which is always cool, but people always reach out and be like, oh yeah, I saw did you see this? The Rock was in it. And be like, oh yeah, I didn't see it yet. Oh, I thought you see it because The Rock was in it. Well, why? Well, I mean, because you're like so big into wrestling. Yeah, but was he wrestling in that movie? No. So maybe I just want to see the movie. Like, let's separate and divide. Come on.
Going back to SummerSlam, here's Joshy Boy's booking session 101. Here we go. We got Balor and Rollins already. We got that already. WWE vacant. Remember, WWE vacant. This for the vacant WWE Universal Championship.
Vacant is back. Yes. Yeah. I'm voting vacant for president this fall.
Yes, me too. Ambrose versus Ziggler for the I liked how Daniel Bryan said this last night. WWE World Heavyweight Championship. He did say that on the promo last night.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Was that? Do you think that was a slip up, or is that where?
No, it's competition. They got the right to say that's the WWE World Heavyweight Championship.
All right. So this was actually going to be my point. So if that's the case, what's bigger, the world or the universe? Thank you. Mic dropped, ladies and gentlemen. Dean Ambrose is your B champ. Thank you. Thank you. I just want to prove literal points if we're going by. I hate to keep Bobby the Brain Heenan and everybody. Like, I hate to keep pulling the rug out from everybody, but yeah, unfortunately, perception is reality. The universe is bigger than the world. Although most people, for some reason, will still try to tell you that the Earth's only like 6,000 years old or something. People are crazy. All right, let's move on.
All right. Rollins Balor for vacant WWE Universal Championship. Dolph Ziggler versus Dean Ambrose for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. John Cena versus AJ Styles. We get that out of the way. Brock Lesnar versus Orton.
Yep.
The Club versus New Day. Sasha, Charlotte 2. I'm going to surprise you with these next two ones. Miz versus Bray Wyatt for the IC title. And then I'm gonna go with Darren Young again. No. Here's the thing. I think it's kind of early for Darren to go for the US title because I'm mixed with two guys between who could go after Rusev. It's either Darren Young or Neville. So it's like you pick your two scenario there: Darren Young or Neville versus Rusev.
I think it's because, and I'm going to add something. I agree with everything you said so far. I'm going to make one addition, and I'm going to answer your question right here. One addition, add Nikki Bella into your women's championship match. It's SummerSlam. It's the second biggest pay-per-view of the year. That way, it can ease her back in. They could have a triple threat, Sasha, Charlotte. Because remember, Charlotte has to get a rematch, but Nikki never got her rematch, did she? Or did she lose a rematch and leave, or regardless, she's coming back off an injury. They can.
Yes, she did. She did have a rematch. She lost at Hell in the Cell. Yep.
And when is Total Bella's premiering?
In the fall.
Is it? So probably right after SummerSlam?
Yes.
Okay, and then think about it. Triple threat match. She wouldn't have to carry most of the workload. So insert her into that match, and I think you have Sasha, Charlotte, and Sasha, and Nikki Bella for the women's championship. And then, I think because of the election, you want to play off pop culture. Unfortunately, politics is pop culture right now. Darren Young goes after the United States Championship. If for me, that's where the money bet is. It just seems like that's we forget the pro wrestling a lot of times does art imitates life, and I just think that there's something behind that. I don't know. What do you think?
All right, we're at 8, so we got Rusev and Darren Young there. Okay,
and remember, SummerSlam will probably be 4 hours.
Yep.
Plus the run over, which will probably run to about 11:30, which is 4.5 hours, plus an hour pre-show, I would imagine. So we're probably looking at a 5.5 hour show, guys.
Brother Nero, it's gonna be a 6-hour night for me covering that show. And I might even be at that show in person. I'll keep you guys updated. I might be heading out to Brooklyn.
I'm about to hitchhike up there. Everyone's going. I'm about to hitchhike.
Let's see. Number 9, Roman Reigns versus Kevin Owens. And then we're going to wrap it up here with Cesaro and Sami Zayn. So there's your 10 main matches on SummerSlam. You could fizzle out whatever else you need to get on the pre-show. You could do it on there.
Yeah, I think Cesaro and Sami Zayn, they have a program coming up pretty soon. I really do.
So we even got Roman and KO and Cesaro and Sami Zayn. Even our last two matches out of already a freaking stacked card already.
I'd watch our SummerSlam. I don't know about you. I'd watch it though.
Damn right. Guys, by the way, we like to see your cards for SummerSlam too. Get your little fancy booking session going on. If you have any match cards you have for SummerSlam, put it in the chat room. We'll read it on there. By the way, Brother Nero, let's get into SmackDown. Again, I'll ask you, since we are doing compare and contrast, you said obviously Raw was already going to top SmackDown just with all the stuff that happened on the show, but were you like everybody else is like, oh, SmackDown was horrible or whatever? But you watched the show last night. What was your thoughts on it, and your thoughts on the production stuff as well?
Like the new setup, like the new graphics. Oh, one real quick thing I forgot about Raw. What the hell's up with the Illuminati pyramid that they got going on in the Raw logo now that zooms out a ton of. Sorry, had to throw that in there. Anyway, just moving on. That's for all the trolls out there.
All eyes on me.
Yeah, right. I like that I like all the new setup. I like the graphics. I'll admit I was a little underwhelmed by SmackDown, but I do think it was a good show. I just went in with expectations like it was going to completely blow the doors off the place. Now, I want to say that I did like I liked how they set up like the new basically getting the new number one contender. I liked they made it a 6-pack. I love that it's Dolph Ziggler. I love that they're actually going to give him, and this is why we needed that second championship. Because again, guys, the Universal Championship is probably going to be the champion that WWE wants, aka Universal. It's your corporate champion, and the WWE Championship is going to be the kind of like the IWC, the fan championship, like the TV title. And I know people don't like that, but that's what it was before, and it's okay. And I understood that Jericho was never the man. I got that, but he was still the World Heavyweight Championship and the greatest of all time. I'd like to point that out. But no, you know what, dude? I thought SmackDown could have been a little bit better, but at least Shane McMahon wasn't sweating enough to like refill the California drought. So that was a plus.
I enjoyed SmackDown. I don't know. I enjoyed it. I thought the segment with Orton and Miz was kind of funny. And he had the 6-pack challenge, which I thought was cool. I thought one thing that Raw did not do that I think SmackDown's going to capitalize is furthering more storytelling and teasing stuff down the road. We already announced that Shelton Benjamin is coming back and he's going to be on SmackDown. They announced that American Alpha is making their SmackDown Live debut next week. This is a little like business television side. I felt like they should have spent more time for Raw trying to tease and give people a reason to watch the show next week. So I'll give SmackDown the edge there. I loved the main event. I thought it was really good. So overall, I enjoyed SmackDown, and I'm happy that Shelton Benjamin's coming back.
I'm super happy about Shelton Benjamin. I'm stoked he's coming back. I'll say this, Josh. I think though, when you look at the Raw names versus the SmackDown names, SmackDown they have to, in a way, you want to lure people into watching SmackDown. Raw sells itself. In a way, right now we're already talking more, and I think we're already talking more about the Raw title picture where there is no, we don't even know what the title looks like, versus Ziggler and Ambrose. You know what I mean? But I also want to say that, and I know I'm getting punched in the back of the head for this, I am fully on board with Eva Marie, and I'm getting decimated right now. But Eva Marie's entrance was amazing. Listen, they knew that they're going to get heat. They know that they're going to get heat. So what do? You make sure you make it extra painful for people. It's like when you're sick and you got to that tussin just nasty, but you gotta, because tussin fix everything. So you have to add that extra layer of tussin on top. And I feel like that her entrance was that extra layer of tussin that made people choke a little bit. That was so beautiful for me.
I felt I was watching Space Jam and the PA guy was introducing Lola Bunny. I got from that.
It was so good. As I'm getting stuff thrown at me now. But it was, guys, I am sorry. It was the greatest. It was, because I know how sick people were. But Ava Marie was looking fine though too. So let's all keep it 100 there. Now, is she going to be good in the ring? No, absolutely not. But let's face it, guys. This is exactly what we needed, because if she's not going to be good in the ring, her personality needs to be big. And I'm not saying, I don't know how she's going to be on the mic. I don't know how she's going to react in a live crowd, but initial reaction, I love it. I love it.
We cannot forget about Heath Slater, man.
It was awesome.
Killed it last night.
It was awesome. How do you feel about Rhino coming back? Because I like Rhino, but I'm kind of like, yeah.
No, I thought Rhino worked because he was kind of like the assault guy for Shane Dirty Invasion storyline. You remember that?
Yeah, good point.
So I don't mind, and it's kind of interesting. You remember, it's always funny how we always go back to Heath Slater when you have like former guys coming back and just laying him out. I have a feeling we're going to start doing that, where you see some of these free agents come onto SmackDown to add more steam to the show. Heath Slater's like, I want a contract. Boom! every time. I'm fine with that.
I love Heath. Listen. I really, really, really like Heath Slater's work, man. I do. I love that he went through as like I was the brains of the Nexus. I was
The
the
core.
core. Like I love that he name dropped 3MB too, which is good. But dude, I'm super, super, super stoked that Shelton Benjamin's coming back. I really think that SmackDown's a place where he could blossom and he could be a mid card champion. I mean, he could end up eventually being a world champion.
Oh, why not? Why not? You picture matches like him and Styles and Ziggler. It's a great spot for Shelton, and I'm telling you right now, starting at least after SummerSlam, Del Rio is going to get on a hot streak. I just have this feeling he's either turning into a good guy or I don't know.
I think he's about to turn into the I'm leaving the company guy, so I don't think that's gonna happen. I think he's leaving when his contract's up.
But didn't he just come back last year though? I didn't know it was a 1-year thing.
If you believe the dirt sheets, quote unquote, it was a 1 year. It was a 1 year deal, dude. I honestly though, I typically don't believe dirt sheets, but I could see it because let's face it, I actually, contrary to I know a lot of people don't. I like Del Rio. I just don't think there's a place for him in WWE because they can't figure out what to do with him. What has he really done other than a fake relationship with Paige that I still am never going to believe? I don't care. I'm never going to believe that was a real thing.
Dude, like Paige is like getting like the obsessed high school teenage girl that's crazed with like a guy from college she's going out with. Her post is like, she's like, my ovaries are exploding and all this shit. I'm like, what the fuck?
Like, well,
Poppy's back.
Well, I think she plays it up a little bit. I do think I love Paige. I think she plays it up a little bit, but I still will never believe that her and Del Rio were an actual thing. That just screams.
It's a work, damn
it. If it was cool, cool. Listen, I like Del Rio, so I wasn't a hater. I was like, hell yeah, Viva Del Rio. But I don't know. It just seems all like it was a total diva stunt.
Hey, by the way, did you hear about Jericho going to Matt Hardy's house?
I just saw a picture, and it's the greatest thing ever. I wish I could be a fly on the wall. Just and I know obviously we're gonna hear a lot of the but the conversations. I'm sure is it for Talk Is Jericho?
I think so. Yeah, I think that's gonna be gold. Oh,
it's gonna be so good. It's gonna be so good.
I found it ironic that Bayley was on Talk Is Jericho when Sasha was pulling the Jericho down. It's not Bayley. Bayley's not going to show up. But the same week Bayley's on Talk to Jericho, she appears on Battleground.
Right. And you know what? Here's my thing with Bayley. Like again, like I said at the start of the show, Josh, because I know we want to get into this. I'm so happy that Bayley came up at Battleground, or made her debut at Battleground. Yeah. But for me, I think that what really would have worked for SmackDown is if Bayley would have debuted then again on SmackDown. And that would have given it that extra little lift where people would have been like, SmackDown was awesome too. I think SmackDown was just one surprise away from giving fans that equal level with Raw. I don't think I was for Bayley holding off with Bayley until after SummerSlam. I thought that was the right time to bring her up. I just think that I wanted her first appearance, and I'm not saying it wasn't special, but now, okay, she's going to go away for a little while, and when she comes back, it's going to be awesome all over again. But it's just I want Bayley around now. I want Bayley on SmackDown for good now, or Raw or wherever she's going to fit in.
Mm-hmm. I want to bring back a point we brought up about Lesnar. Isn't Lesnar everything that everybody hates about Roman Reigns?
Absolutely, 100%.
And vice versa.
100%, except that's not who Roman Reigns is in real life, but that's who Brock Lesnar is in real life. That's absolutely true. Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, the reality era. Yep.
Yeah, man. I can't wait to JJ. I hope JJ from the Pipe Bomb, part of the other half of the company part of it. I can't wait to talk more about Lesnar with him tonight.
We've been having a good time so far talking about these past few shows. The new era is finally in. I'm excited where we're going for SummerSlam, Brother Nero. I think we're in for some good shit. But it's going to be important to let everybody know they need to let it play out. It's not like Raw's going to be this great every single week. Nor is SmackDown going to be a letdown every week either. Just give it some time.
because dude, the very first show that we have that's like that isn't as good as maybe the week before. It's here we go again. Raw's back to where it was because people are just waiting for like a ratings dip.
The fall.
And you know what, Josh? Yeah. Oh, here comes the fall. But so here, one thing I wanted to point out that, and I know we said that we would never really talk about it, but this is the last time I want to bring it up on the show. Is I read a very, very interesting article about how ratings are down across the board. I don't think I got to bring it up yet. This is something I know we wanted to talk about. But I read recently, and I don't know what Raw's ratings are. I know if it gets to a 2, people lose their minds, like it's about to go off air. Right now, there's only 3 shows that consistently get above a 3 on cable. One is The Walking Dead.
Correct. Mm-hmm.
The other is Fear the Walking Dead.
Unfortunately, next.
And the other is Game of Thrones. No other show. Better Call Saul, which is like everybody like raves about, is only pulling a 2 every week. Okay. No other show on HBO is pulling what, and I understand HBO versus USA, but no other show on HBO is pulling what Raw is pulling. No other show on any of these other cable networks are pulling what Raw is pulling, except for The Walking Dead, Fear the Walking Dead, and Preacher might have been in a 3. But if Raw typically is around realistically between a 2.5 to 3, 2.5 to 3.5. So let's just put them in there. So guys, the point of this whole thing is if you hear Dave Meltzer talking about ratings or Vince Russo talking about ratings, and I love Vince, so please don't think that that's a shot at Vince. But when everybody wants to use ratings as a thing, because everybody tries to do it, ratings are just down all over the place. They're actually calling it the death of television because a lot of these stations are pulling it or kind of canceling shows, almost too quick because they're saying, well, ratings are down. And you're seeing shows get renewed that are only pulling 500,000 viewers a week, but people understand that on certain networks, 500,000 viewers, it's the highest rated show on that network. So Raw and SmackDown, regardless of what anybody thinks with ratings or what everyone's going to say from here on out, the ratings are fine. They're fine. The Walking Dead's ratings are going down. Like I said, when The Walking Dead, Fear the Walking Dead, and Game of Thrones are the only 3 shows that consistently beat Raw. So just kind of relax with the rating shtick.
I don't feel like like if WWE is in such a bad position as everybody makes it out to be about the ratings, why are we not hearing reports about NBC Universal saying that WWE is at the red line in their partnership? You know what I mean? You got John Cena on the morning shows on NBC. You got John Cena appearing in movies. You got the you have the Total Divas stuff on E. Like, if it's really at a red line, why is there more penetration for WWE on social media than there has ever been? Why is more people talking about it positively, negative? ESPN covers it, Forbes, all this shit. But supposedly we're not, the business is dead as we know it because we can't evolve to the next era. Oh, the ratings are not. Hey, the cable companies have themselves to blame for where TV ratings are right now because nobody has the money to pay for that shit every month. Everybody's going out of their way to get like Hulu or whatever. Like, you don't have that money to pay for cable that much. It's not a necessity anymore.
No, yeah, I mean, and not everybody has to sit down and watch all 3 hours of Raw, And
you don't have to watch it live.
And you don't have to watch it live, And it just goes back to, it's just old ways of thinking versus new ways versus what was versus what is, and not everybody. And I'm not saying, listen, there's the guys that talk about this are far more intelligent than me. So please, again, don't think that. I just think it's a dead. I think it's a dead issue. It's a dead issue. It's such a dead issue because, okay, I have to watch Raw and SmackDown on Monday night at a certain point and on Tuesday night at a certain point just so we can do this on Wednesday, right? If it wasn't for that, I wouldn't have watched Raw on Monday night. It would have got pushed back. I might have watched it last night, maybe would have watched SmackDown today or tomorrow, maybe, I don't know, but I would have all week to get to them. It wouldn't have been like, I got to get to it right now. And overall, like we keep talking about, it's just people aren't watching as much TV, and which is a good thing because television corrupts your brain. Go outside and play Pokemon Go because that certainly doesn't corrupt your brain.
It's time for shooting this shit as we're going to wrap it up.
As I'm a level 1 Team Valor specialist.
Let's get into shooting
Level
the shit.
19. That's what you
We're
want.
talking about a lot of pop culture and stuff outside the ring. Um, they announced that they're having a concert the week of SummerSlam. It's going to be on a Thursday to benefit for Connor's Cure, which I think is pretty cool. Pretty cool. They're doing it at the Barclays Center, so WWE's got it out for Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. It,
What's
and
did they
by the
say?
way,
Did they
I
say
like
who's all going to be there?
uh Flow Rider,
Why is he always there? Go
uh
on.
Jason Derulo. I don't know if you like him or not.
Yeah, no, I don't. Um,
There's a lot of like pop, like the super
which
cheesy
is cool.
pop.
And listen, guys, I'm joking because it's not stuff that I listen to. I think it's fantastic that they're doing this, but just like Susan G. Komen, I hope the money's going to where it's supposed to, or at least the majority of the money. That's all.
Correct. I agree with you there.
Fantastic PR. Listen, it makes WWE look great. I just hope that's where the money's really going.
I do like the fact that NXT Takeover Brooklyn's going to be on a Friday instead of a Saturday. So there's that calm period in between, like it was for WrestleMania. So even then, that NXT Takeover Brooklyn doesn't even have a bad card either. So I'll look and see. It's going to be interesting what they're going to do there. But it's weird. Like you have the TNA guys like Austin Aries fighting No Way Jose, and you got Bobby Roode fighting one of the new NXT guys. It's just weird.
I'll admit, and I've been very behind on NXT just because it's just been wrestling overload lately. But I'm still gonna check out the Brooklyn card. I'm interested to see what all goes on with especially the talent that still has a match on at Brooklyn and on the main roster, because I do think that Bayley comes up on the Raw or SmackDown, probably SmackDown,
Yeah.
after SummerSlam. So there's just a lot I'm looking forward to as far as NXT goes, as far as maybe like swan songs. But I guess that's where I'm at with NXT right now.
All right. Let's get into the Killing Joke. We
Yes.
teased it at the beginning. It is time for the Killing Joke. I'm gonna let Brother Nero start off first because I got to see it yesterday. I have some thoughts about it too. But go ahead, my friend.
Excuse me. Let me get my voice out already here. All right, so no, all right, guys. So here's the quick backstory. If you don't know that, if you're unfamiliar with the Killing Joke is probably the most notorious Joker story in Batman lore. It's one of the few that give a true Joker backstory of how he came to be. It's the most popular story of how he came to be, but it is also one of the most gruesome and adult graphic novels that Batman ever put out. And this was the first R-rated Batman, quote unquote movie. It was animated that they put out. Long story short, if you're unfamiliar, this is where Joker basically goes in, shoots Barbara Gordon right in the hip, severs her spine, paralyzes her, rapes her, takes pictures of her, and then tortures Jim Gordon for an entire day because in Joker's mind, all it takes is one bad day to drive the sanest of men basically into the pits of an abyss, so to speak. To the edge of an abyss. So it's all about him trying to take the sanest of men to show him that everybody could just be just like Joker, and all it takes is one bad day, like Joker had, to turn yourself from being very sane into the quote unquote insane, because there is that fine line between sanity and insanity. In the movie, though, listen, here's the deal for people that haven't seen it. Or have read reports about it. Yes, they did add on a Batgirl precursor. You have to look at this movie, and Josh, I'll get your opinion on it, as two separate things. I looked at it as almost like how Kill Bill was Kill Bill 1 and Kill Bill 2. And if you sit them and watch them back to back, they seem like they're two completely different stories, two completely different feels to the stories. And that's what this was. The Batgirl story, I think if it was separate, it would be okay. It wouldn't be my favorite story, but it would be all right. But it felt them adding that on to the Killing Joke really watered down, I felt, like the Killing Joke, and made it seem more like a Batgirl movie, when the Killing Joke is more about Joker trying to just mentally break Jim Gordon, and Batman kind of realizing that him and Joker are one and the same. Now, in different aspects, but they are one and the same. So For me, I think that it also took away from, like, them showing the different things, like how she was getting down. All of a sudden, she was getting down with Batman. You know what I mean? Like Batman and Batgirl have a sex scene, and and like it. I don't know. There's a lot that took away from the innocence of the moment. Like if you read the Killing Joke graphic novel, there's innocence to Barbara Gordon, and when she gets shot in front of Jim Gordon, and what Joker does, and basically going, cheers, here's the crime. There's this innocence that gets taken away from Barbara Gordon, even though she was already training to be Batgirl and Jim Gordon didn't know it. But they almost made her seem to be very aggressive, very it kind of took away from her innocence a little bit, which that was supposed to be the big hammering point of the Killing Joke was like, I can't believe that especially in 1988 when they penned this, it was that's still when American Psycho, the novel American Psycho, was getting blackballed by bookstores. American Psycho came out in '89. It wasn't really on shelves until like '90 or '91 because it was getting protested by Gloria Steinem and feminist groups and stuff like that. And here you are, you have a Batman story where Joker is shooting and paralyzing an innocent girl really for no reason other than to torture her and torture her father. So. But it was it was a special event thing one time. I thought it was honestly fantastic. I'm so glad they did it. I just, if you do see it, and if you're a fan of Batman, if you're a fan of Joker, think about it as two separate movies that they put as one, because that's the only way. And once the Killing Joke kicks in, if you've read the graphic novel, you'll know. And they did the Killing Joke 100%. It was great. My only thing that I know people were kind of nitpicking was they paid homage to Harley Quinn, even though this was written before Harley Quinn was even a character. I thought it was cool that they did it. It was a quick little homage to her. It wasn't a big deal. Who cares? I thought it was super cool. But if you get a chance, please check out the Killing Joke, because that's really what the Joker character is. Not necessarily the backstory. The Joker has, and he even references it, there's no real Joker backstory. If he's forced to have a pass, he'd prefer it to be multiple choice. That's another whole point with the Killing, with the Killing Joke. So it's definitely worth seeing if you're a Batman fan. If you're a Joker fan, absolutely, you've seen it already if you're a Joker fan. But Josh, what did you think? Not kind of not knowing that much about it going in, and then seeing the add-on and stuff like that.
It's been a while since I've seen a movie like that where it was just like animated and it was split into two parts. So I thought that was interesting. I really enjoyed it for that aspect. It was better than what reviews or the skeptics are saying it. I know you made a post about it before you went to go see it on Monday, how there was like mixed reviews for it. So I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed both parts. And it was, if you guys are not as in depth with the whole Batman and Joker story and all the stuff surrounding Gotham and all that, I think this is a movie for you. I think it ties into a lot of stuff. So I enjoyed it.
Yeah, and Alan Moore.
And it was better than the Batman movie with Mr. Freeze.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah. I mean, listen. Like I said, the Batgirl precursor that they kind of added on, like they modernized it up a little bit. It just didn't seem to fit because we all know the Killing Joke is like an older story, and the Batgirl story was very modern. And listen, kudos for DC because they had, like in her story, it was, yes, she wasn't this innocent girl. She was very, she wanted to get in the action. I liked that they had a gay character. I liked that, I like that they're breaking down these barriers in comics now where it's not it's not like it's not like how it used to be, but at the same time, because this is an old story, it was like it just didn't. I get the criticism behind it, but I mean, if once it hit the Killing Joke part, the actual Killing Joke comic part of it, I thought it was awesome. It really was. But yeah, it's one, Josh, where I watch a lot of the animated movies. I'm a nerd, whatever. Everyone out there laughing, but this is one that needed to be done. And when you can get Mark Hamill out of retirement to play Joker one last time, you're doing something right. And the voice of Batgirl was Tara Strong, who also does the voice of Harley Quinn, which a lot of people will be very familiar with her work. So it's a really cool watch if you get a chance to. It's definitely worth it, especially any comic book fans out there. And Alan Moore, who wrote this, by the way, I'm sorry, Alan Moore, who wrote this, also wrote Watchmen. If anybody's seen the movie Watchmen, wrote the graphic novel Watchmen, not the the movie adaptation. That was Zack Snyder, but
Watchmen. All right, I'll look for that. I haven't seen that one yet.
Oh wow, yeah, Watchmen's some serious business.
um, Last week was San Diego Comic-Con, and they gave out a lot of releases for new movies coming up. Uh, I don't know, maybe it's me, but I think Gal Gadot is taking over Ronda Rousey for not only sex appeal but badassery with stuff she's doing as Wonder Woman. They had the Justice League trailer too at the same time, and hell, even Suicide Squad joined the fray there. They had the whole panel there. Margot Robbie was there. Everybody was there. Suicide Squad comes out in a week and a half. It's crazy. It's almost here. What was your thoughts on some of the stuff that came out of Comic-Con? And they even announced that Bootios is a real cereal. That was another thing that came out of Comic-Con.
I love that Bootios is a real cereal because I'm buying a box today that it comes out. I want everybody to know that. I've always said that if I will buy a box, because one, my daughter loves cereal, and it'll just be funny and to see the look on people's faces when I say, man, my daughter was so mad at me because I ate all her Bootios last night. And one, it'll probably get me arrested, but two, it's just gonna be funny to see the ghastly look on people's faces before you have to explain what Bootios are. So great troll job, New Day. That's why I love you guys. No, but I didn't get to see everything that came out of Comic Con. Just because there's so much wrestling wise that was coming out, and that's what sucks is that that's the downside of doing like all the like shows that I've been doing, guys, is that I'm kind of missing out on a lot of stuff that I really really enjoy in life. But what I did realize is that I need to go to Comic-Con bad. I need to just say screw WrestleMania one year. I need to get to Comic-Con. I needed to be with my people. Sam and I were going to dress in cosplay to go see The Killing Joke the other night, but unfortunately, like the night before, some douchebag from Georgia decided to go to Ohio real quick, steal an automatic handgun or semi-automatic handgun, and then go to the movie theater that's like 5 miles from my house or 2 miles from my house or something like that, and kind of get busted there. So I decided that, a day or two after that, maybe it wasn't a good idea to dress up like the Joker. I didn't want to get patted down in that whole ordeal. So, so thanks America for being assholes and taking fun out of things. But no, I want to go to Comic-Con. I want to cosplay. We always do it for WrestleMania. I do it every year for Halloween because everybody, it's costumes, but I need to be with my people at Comic-Con, man. I'm glad that there's a lot of comic book stuff coming out. I'm excited for Mallrats. I'm excited that it's going to be a series. I'm excited that Kevin Smith is excited about it because that's just, you never want to go revisit something if your heart isn't into it. And I am one of the bigger Mallrats fans that you're probably ever going to find. So I want to make sure that this is done right, and I think that Kevin Smith does too. So I don't know. I'm sure that was talked about at Comic-Con because I know Kevin Smith's always there talking about his stuff.
There's been like a weird mix on HBO of like 90s movies like Road Trip and American Pie and all that. So I've been watching that before my cable box went out the other day. So Road Trip was kind of funny too. And they even had a video clip of Paige putting Matthew Lillard, who was in the Scooby-Doo movie. They put him in the Sharpshooter, so I thought that was pretty cool too.
That's cool. I like that. Wait, what was the movie you were talking about right before that? What else was?
Road Trip and American Pie.
Road Trip, that's right. Okay, so Road Trip, you guys might be familiar with. There's a certain spot where they have to stop and pick up a van to get to Texas, a little bus. They say, oh, we don't have any buses because they're at Aliquippa, right? Or they went to Aliquippa. They should be back in about X number of hours. Aliquippa is where I grew up, ladies and gentlemen, Aliquippa, Pennsylvania. So there's a little Easter egg in there for anybody from Western Pennsylvania.
Little fact search right there. Bam.
Boom. And I'm not saying that with pride, guys. I also like to
Adam, any other things you want to chat about before we head out here?
I don't know, man. Yeah, I guess other than we hit everything I really had written down. I just wanted to make sure that we talked about Zack Ryder's outfit because it's Battleground because that made me want to sink his battleship. And I love you, Zack Ryder. Just please don't ever wear that again. We're all entitled to mistakes. We've all done them. We've all made them. So let's just not do that again.
Yes. Make sure to follow Adam at Twitter at Adam Daley 13. Adam's part of the Pipe Bomb with McCullough Company. You get that show comes out every Friday on the New Age Insiders Network. Check out Wrestling with him with his lovely wife Samantha Daly. She's at Twitter at LadyNix13. Shout out to the boys Ronnie Starks at Starks Wrestling and Patrick Fritz at Rated PWF. Shout out to Derico, the running joke man. He sets them up for hits all the time.
Guys, if you guys haven't figured out the dynamic yet by now, like I hate to break kayfabe, but like Derek understands that he sets himself up, and we always talk off camera, like, because I always feel bad after, like every time we tape, and like we're both laughing at the end, but it's like, man, I feel so bad. But that's like, it is that there's a thing that we have. There's a reason why we bust each other's balls as much as we do. So relax, people. Jesus. Everyone always takes on-camera stuff as 100% face value. I love it so much. Yeah. I've just started playing into the character. So.
Yeah, but you don't have to take everything so literal too at the same time. Especially wrestling. Anyways, you don't have to follow me. I'm starting the Josh Lopez Block Party World Tour this week. So just like Mauro Ranallo, if you want to bring your nonsense and your soliloquies towards me, I'll just hit you with a bye Felicia and you're out as well.
I don't block anyone. It's weird. I should block. Nobody ever really talk shit, I guess, to me as much. I don't know why. I don't know. Maybe it's because I spout off the mouth anyway. I think people realize it's whatever.
Like, I know Mauro uses Twitter troglodytes, but this time I'm gonna take a phrase from our boy Jericho. I'm just gonna use Twitter parasite.
Yeah, it's everyone looking for their quick fix. Everyone looking to get their 3 seconds of fame, because then they'll say, oh no, they tweeted something bad about me, but inside, you're marking out deep down. That's what I love about it. Like, you're marking out.
Make sure to subscribe to our podcast on iTunes, the Josh Lopez Wrestling Podcast. I share these shows on my play-by-play articles for WrestleZone. I'll be doing the Cruiserweight Classic tonight. Yeah, buddy. I'm going to be doing that tonight, 1 hour show, and then TNA tomorrow night as well. Make sure to spread the show around on social media. If you like what we do, like the video and subscribe. And we'll be back next week. I'm going to try to see if we can get a guest on and talk about what's going on with the whole brand split and all that jazz. So for Brother Nero, thanks for coming on again, buddy.
Thank you, good sir. Thank you for having me on.
Yes, sir. I am Josh Lopez. Hope you guys enjoyed the podcast. It's a good time to be a wrestling fan. Just remember that. Take it as it is, 1 week at a time, and let's have some fun.
I would actually argue that it's bigger, right? It hasn't been this big since the 80s, and it might even be bigger than that.
Yep, if you give it time, it's really going to really, really win. So for Adam, I'm Josh. Hope you guys enjoyed the podcast. We delivered some #SlobberKnocker audio, and we're out. Peace.